It started with a screama high, panicked one that didn't come from me or my family, but from a woman clutching a mimosa on a pink flamingo float as an Angus cow nudged her into the murky waters of my cattle pond. The sight was so surreal it almost felt staged. One minute she's the queen of some pop-up brunch, megaphone in hand, announcing mimosas for all. The next she's flailing in algae and cow drool, trying to save her sundress from the mud. And the best part? She still hadn't figured out I'd opened the gate on purpose. 2 days before all this, I noticed a string of luxury SUVs parked along the back trail by my barn, looking way too fancy for a dirt road. At first, I thought someone's GPS went haywire again. Happened a lot with lost delivery guys. But this wasn't FedEx. There were 14, maybe 15, shiny cars and the sound of laughter and dance music coming from the pond. Rounding the corner, I stopped Dead Me Cattle Pond, the same one where my herd gets a drink and maybe a mud bath on hot days, had been transformed into something straight out of a reality show. There were inflatable animals bobbing in the water, a fake tiki bar perched on my old dock, folding chairs everywhere, and women in sun hats posing for pictures. At the center of it all was Karen. You know, the type oversized shades, clipboard, voice loud enough to startle livestock. She'd self-appointed herself as HOA president across the road and strutted around like she ran the Derby. The kicker? Our HOA doesn't even reach my land, but she sure acted like it did. She saw me, flashed that strained smile people save for toddlers with scissors, and said, "Oh, hi. Isn't this weather just divine?" before gesturing toward a banner tied to my fence, Serenity Springs Bridal Brunch. I looked around me. Cattle Pond was now a wedding venue, apparently. She handed me an itinerary, all laminated, showing brunch, paddleboat photos, a harpist, yoga in my hayfield, the works. She told me it'd just be a few hours, and I should be grateful for the exposure. I didn't lose my temper. I just smiled and left, because if she thought silence meant surrender, well, she'd never met my cows. I called an old friend who's a wedding planner. She howled when I told her. No permits, no permission, no clue, just let them dig their own hole and document everything. Let the cows do the talking when the time comes, she said. So for a day and a half, I watched Karen and her crew turn my property into Pinterest gone wild porta potties, fairy lights, even an arch by the pond. They strung ribbons around the pasture, thinking it'd keep the herd out. Yeah, good luck with that. Sunday morning arrived. The place looked and smelled like perfume and hairspray, two things cows hate. As Karen launched into a speech about unity and community spirit, I quietly opened the gate. No big scene, just a rusty squeak and a little patience. The cows saw their moment. One by one, they sauntered down to the pond, sniffed an inflatable peacock, and dove right in. Within minutes, guests were shrieking. One woman had her mimosa taste tested by a steer. Another was rescuing her bag from a nosy cow licking sunscreen. Karen went nuclear. "Control your animals," she screamed. I calmly reminded her in front of everyone that this was my land, my pond, my animals. She called 911. The deputy showed up, trying not to laugh as Karen complained about cow attacks. He asked if I wanted to press trespassing charges. I said no. I had bigger plans. The chaos peaked with guests running for their cars, brunch ruined, and Karen's niece sobbing on a hay bale while a cow chewed on her veil. As Karen ranted about lawsuits, I sipped coffee and smiled. Sometimes the best revenge is letting nature RSVP. But that wasn't the end. Karen doesn't quit. 3 days later, I spotted a drone buzzing low over my pasture. I waved a shovel at it not to swat it down, but to show I'd noticed. Soon after, Karen sent the HOA a video of my bull relieving himself, labeling it an environmental biohazard. Next thing I know, a city inspector's at my door with nuisance abatement paperwork. Luckily, my cousin Dallas works for the USDA. He brought every log, every water test, every manure management form I had. The inspector took one look and said, "Cleanest setup I've seen." Karen's scheme fizzled, but she wasn't done. She started a cow-free zone petition claiming cows were ruining property values. She even made pamphlets with photoshopped cows storming backyard pools. It was so over the top that it became a joke. Local news picked up the stormy Buddy Ethan filmed a segment called Farmer Fights Back, Cows versus Karens. Kids brushed cows for the camera. Even a mayor stopped by for a selfie. The internet loved it. Donations for a local AG charity poured in. I threw a moo at the Moon Party food trucks, music, games. The town loved it. Karen, lurking at the edge with binoculars, did not. Her next move? Legal threats. She hired a lawyer to claim my event was a public disturbance. Dallas sent the letter to the state AG board. They wrote back warning Karen that harassing a working farm carries fines. She disappeared for a week, then reemerged with a podcaster in tow. She tried to spin her side, but I brought receipts, video, timelines, legal docs. The podcaster left mid-interview. At the next HOA meeting, Karen tried to get my land regulated as a community aesthetic concern. I brought her projector photos of her party, the property deed, the trespass. The board voted to strip Karen of her presidency. Greg, a neighbor, took over. People apologized. Someone even brought brownies. But Karen's not one for quiet defeat. One morning, I spotted a for sale sign on the border property. The listing claimed scenic waterfront views, meaning my pond. Karen had tried to buy it to build an event platform overlooking my land. I called the owner, Mr. Jameson. He laughed, sold it to me for $1 and a steak dinner. The next day, I built a sign, private property. Cows may approach without warning, with a happy cartoon cow. Karen built a decorative fence, held a pavilion preview picnic, and I invited the local paintball club to practice behind her fence. Every weekend, they hooted, hollered, and blasted paintballs. Cows watched. Karen fumed. She filmed the cows mooing and called them aggressive. The board filed her complaint away. She parked for hours by the fence, posted videos online, got roasted in the comments. Neighborhood kids loved visiting. I hired a muralist to paint Welcome to Mulandia on my barn. Karen played classical music from a speaker to soothe the environment. Cows chewed up her ivy fence, left a cow pie on her picnic mat. The sheriff just laughed, told her, "Ma'am, it's a farm." Her last move was the sneakiest. She tried to reclassify my pond as a shared water feature at the county level, arguing it visually impacted the community. I lawyered up, brought every deed, map, neighbor statement, and USDA letter. At the hearing, Karen had a PowerPoint. I had proof. The board shut her down unanimously. So I threw one last party. Moffist. The whole town came. The mayor, the zoning board, the neighbors. Karen moved away soon after, her house listed as pond views, but the photo cropped out the fence, the mural, and the paintball field. You know, some people think you can buy belonging, legislate respect, or fence out what you don't like. But around here, land remembers who belongs. As the last guest left and the flamingo float spun on the pond, I realized this. In the end, it's not the cows who make the splash, it's the folks who stand their ground, laugh through the chaos, and know when to open the gate. So what do you think, folks? Did I handle Karen right, or should I have played it another way? Tell me in the comments what you would have done if someone tried to take over your land. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life ranch stories and neighborly chaos.